You are listening to Good Services by Lou Downe. Have you ever encountered a service that made you feel like you were navigating through a maze blindfolded? Or conversely, experienced one that felt so intuitive it seemed to read your mind? Today, we're exploring the fundamental principles behind exceptional service design that will revolutionize your understanding of the hidden mechanisms that influence our everyday interactions. Starting with the core concept that services must be deliberately crafted rather than haphazardly assembled, through actionable approaches for ensuring accessibility and responsiveness. This comprehensive guide provides a robust methodology for developing genuinely impactful services. You'll uncover why superior services function as action words instead of static objects, how the philosophy behind Japanese contemplative gardens informs the optimal sequencing of user interactions, and why prioritizing user success should be your fundamental objective. Whether you're crafting digital ecosystems, overseeing customer interactions, or simply intrigued by what distinguishes delightful services from disappointing ones, these concepts provide meaningful understanding for developing services that enhance outcomes for all participants. Understanding the essence of service. Let's establish the foundation. What constitutes a service? The answer is elegantly straightforward. Services are mechanisms that enable us to accomplish tasks. These range from something as basic as purchasing frozen treats to something as intricate as orchestrating a celebration. They represent the touchpoints through which we interact with our environment. Services perform optimally when they're tailored specifically for their intended platform. Consider the 1906 Sears merchandise catalog. It was intentionally designed smaller than conventional publications to ensure it would rest atop household reading materials. Conversely, physical retailers with lackluster digital presences perfectly illustrate the consequences when services aren't appropriately customized for their delivery method. Here's a fundamental realization. Users exclusively determine what constitutes the actual service. If you offer property evaluations, you might believe that's your core offering, but your customers perceive it as merely one component in their broader quest to acquire real estate. The user's viewpoint genuinely establishes your service parameters. What characterizes an excellent service? Primarily, superior services are intentionally constructed, not accidentally developed. While this seems self-evident, numerous services represent chaotic combinations of technological constraints, bureaucratic choices, and individual biases. Examine customer support centers. You contact them seeking guidance, yet they enforce 7-minute restrictions that effectively become 5 minutes after verification procedures. This hardly represents a service engineered to provide quality consultation. Inadequate design carries substantial financial consequences. In the United Kingdom, approximately 60% of governmental service expenses address correcting service breakdowns. Additionally, effective service design begins and concludes with your user. When services are constructed around authentic user requirements rather than organizational hierarchies, they produce less resistance, demand fewer resources for maintenance, and cultivate greater devotion. Services that function for users don't merely increase satisfaction. They fundamentally advantage organizations through decreased expenses, extended longevity, and enhanced positive influence. Ensuring service discoverability. An exceptional service is one that any user can locate effortlessly. Users conceptualize services as tasks they wish to complete, such as acquire driving skills. However, for organizations, these tasks represent distinct elements requiring completion in proper sequence. Obtain a provisional permit, schedule a theory examination, practice hazard recognition, arrange a practical assessment, and continue. Here's the essential principle. Effective services are verbs, ineffective services are nouns. The UK Ministry of Justice operated a fee remission service to assist individuals with court costs they couldn't manage. You don't require expertise to recognize that people, particularly those with limited financial knowledge, aren't searching remission on Google for assistance. Consequently, the ministry renamed the homepage, Help Paying Court Fees. Consider services your organization delivers. They might bear names like SORN or RIDDOR, internal abbreviations meaningless to users. Meanwhile, people search using phrases like notify DVLA my vehicle is off the road or report a workplace incident. Examine your service titles and explanations critically. Are they constructed around internal language or actual user vocabulary? Can people locate your service using terms that feel natural and familiar? Remember, even the most expertly designed service becomes worthless if users cannot discover it initially. Establishing clear intent. For effective operation, a service must possess clear intent from inception. This means even users without specialized knowledge understand precisely what your service will accomplish for them. Consider the UK Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, which requires drivers to disclose medical conditions affecting their driving capability. Until recently, approximately 40% of respondents reported conditions having no driving impact whatsoever, items like ingrown toenails and fractured bones. They were exercising caution rather than taking risks. The issue wasn't simply that users didn't know which conditions required reporting. They didn't comprehend why they were reporting initially. The DVLA addressed this by developing a medical reporting system that not only filtered irrelevant conditions, but explicitly explained why they required this information. When designing your service, consider 4 separate components. First, what your service actually accomplishes, the practical result it produces. Second, why it performs that function, the underlying intent or challenge it addresses. Third, how it operates, the experience users will encounter. Fourth, who it serves, the specific demographic you're addressing. Once you clarify these components, embed this information through 3 essential methods: in the title itself, in the explanation, and through interface components. When users comprehend your service's intent from the beginning, they can make educated decisions, preserving everyone's time and reducing frustration. Facilitating user success. An excellent service enables users to accomplish their objectives smoothly. Consider the situation documented in Malcolm Gladwell's piece about a homeless individual whose interactions with various disconnected systems cost the government $1 million across 10 years. This powerfully demonstrates how addressing only one facet of a person's needs through fragmented services can be both expensive and ineffective. Your service might constitute only a minor element in a broader procedure, but when defining what your users want to accomplish, you must consider beyond your specific service boundaries and visualize their complete experience. Public Transportation Application Citimapper exemplifies this principle excellently. Rather than concentrating exclusively on one transportation method, it integrates all available transit modes. Its Get Me Home feature demonstrates profound understanding that users don't fundamentally care whether they travel by bus or train. They simply want to reach their destination efficiently. By concentrating on the user's complete experience, we can design services that genuinely satisfy needs rather than just fulfilling a narrow function within a system. Streamlining steps while maintaining excellence. Simplicity truly prevails. Your service should require users to navigate through minimal steps possible. Most services aren't designed from inception. They're combinations of procedures that develop over time. However, having the appropriate number of steps matters. A 3-step service that should require 10 steps is equally unusable as a 10-step service that should require 3 steps. Here's the guideline. The number of steps in your procedure should match the number of decisions users need to make. No more, no less. Each step should represent a meaningful choice or action. Consider Japanese contemplative gardens momentarily. These carefully arranged spaces feature stones, water features, and meticulously maintained gravel. What makes them powerful isn't just what's present, but the emptiness between elements. The Japanese term this yohaku no bai, the beauty of negative space. This concept applies perfectly to services. Steps create breathing room in a user's experience, providing them space to process information before progressing. Not all steps should advance at identical speeds. Some need to be slow and thoughtful, like making healthcare decisions during serious illness. Others, like paying a traffic violation, we want to complete as rapidly as possible. The appropriate number of steps, thoughtfully paced and positioned, makes all the difference between a service that functions and one that frustrates. Preventing dead ends. Imagine this situation. You're out for the evening, take an Uber home, and discover you've left your phone in the vehicle. You can notify Uber through the app, but the app is on your phone. When you borrow a phone and attempt to log into the Uber app, your two-factor authentication requires a code that's just been sent to, you guessed it, your phone. All services fail, but this dead-end failure, when a user reaches a point beyond which it's impossible to continue, can be prevented. Dead ends often occur when a user deviates from the happy path, the ideal user experience we've designed for. There are 4 primary types of dead ends. First, when the user is ineligible. Second, when the procedure becomes too complex for the user to navigate. Third, when the user can't do something due to capability limitations. Fourth, when the user lacks access to requirements like a phone number, bank account, or valid identification. The solution: provide alternative routes for ineligible users, distribute complexity evenly across your service, ensure inclusivity, minimize requirements, provide alternate routes for those facing access barriers, and make sure your service degrades gracefully so new technologies enhance rather than replace accessibility. Conclusion: exceptional service design isn't simply about making things more attractive or more convenient. It's about fundamentally comprehending how people think, what they require, and how they navigate the world. When we design services that are easy to locate, have clear intentions, help users accomplish their objectives, minimize unnecessary steps, and prevent dead ends, we create experiences that work better for everyone involved. The principles we've examined today, from thinking in action words rather than objects to embracing the beauty of negative space, offer a blueprint for creating services that don't just function, but truly serve the people who use them. Whether you're designing a digital platform, managing customer experiences, or simply trying to understand why some services delight while others disappoint, these insights provide a foundation for creating more effective, more human-centered services. If you enjoyed this book summary, smash the like button and subscribe for more. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.